biodiversity. Biodiversity or the diversity in living organisms, class 9. So, what is the meaning of biodiversity or the diversity or the biodiversity? That the simple meaning, variety of organisms in an ecosystem is known as biodiversity. That means in an ecosystem, different kinds of organisms is alive. For example, when you take the forest, it consists of plants life and animal life. Animals, which includes tigers, lion, deer, even includes the microorganisms such as bacteria and virus. Altogether, we can see the species are different species in a single place. So that is the definition that is known as the ecosystem. So biodiversity means the variety of plants and animal lives in the world or a particular habitat. It is known as the biodiversity. Diversity is nothing but the variety of plants and animals life in the world or in a particular habitat. What do you mean by the habitat? Habitat is the place where an organisms lives. The place where an organism lives. That is known as the habitat. So habitat contain different variety of species, different kinds of organisms that may be included the animal and the plants. When you classify these organisms, that is the next topic. It is coming as the classification. There are in the world, at present in the world, we know that 1 million species have been named. That means around our. Okay, continuing. There are 1 million species have been named there. 1.9 million species have been named. There are still more needed to be explored. So, come back to the point, the biodiversity is nothing but the variety of plants and animal lives in the world or in a particular habitat. The habitat, I already told that the place where an organism is known as the habitat. So, one more, an extra word will be additional to come here. That is niche, N-I-C-H-E. Niche means that will be you study in the grade 10th. The role of an organisms in a particular role of organisms in an ecosystem. In an ecosystem is known as the niche. That you will be studying in the grade 10. So classification. Okay, come back to the topic. Biodiversity. Biodiversity is contains the plants and animals. But when we classify, for example, it contains a lot of organisms, plants and animals. How to classify this? Classification, you know that the classification is based on the different factors. Mainly, the classification of living organisms based on the similarities and dissimilarities. Before that, what do you mean by the classification? Already we know that's arrangements, classify. When you see our school, the school consists of, or it contains a lot of classes. Each class for example, from our school, from grade 1 to grade 12. Grade 1, the students, they have in the same age, not based on their height or the gender. It is based on their age. It is based on the age. You should remember that. Classification is the arrangement of organisms into categories. So arrangements means based on the different factors coming to here, that is the classification. Classification, it is based on the similarities and dissimilarities. It is based on similarities and dissimilarities. And classification helps to the unity in diversity. Even though it is unity, but we can be seen in the different type of the variety. In unity, in diversity. For example, we take in our country, there is 29 states, but it's a unity, but in diversity. Different states have their own culture and their own different local language too. So that is known as the first just example of that, a classification which helps to the unity in diversity. So this is the point you should be remember, that classification is nothing but the arrangement of an organisms into categories. It is known as classification. It is based on the similarities and dissimilarities. That is the other one. Similarities and dissimilarities. So let me explain about this one. Similarities and dissimilarities. Similarities which included, the organisms have the same type of characters, or the external appearance will be, if it's the same, that will be included in this one special category. If it is dissimilarities, that will be included in the different categories. So similarities and this based on similarities and dissimilarities. Coming classes, I will be explaining this topic with examples. So come to that. And the third point I already explained. With example I explained classification, which helps in unity in diversity. Just think about our country. That is the unity in diversity. Next is known as the next point we are going to study about the taxonomy. What do you mean by the taxonomy? Taxonomy is the branch of biology. It's a branch of biology that deals with the collection, identification, nomenclature, description of plants and animals. So I told that biodiversity, second is the classifications in the living organism. When you go to the third topics or the third point, it is known as the taxonomy. Taxonomy is nothing but is the branch of biology that deals with the first point is the collection, identification, nomenclature, description of plants and animals. So what do you mean by all this point? Let me explain one by one. Collection. In biology, when you observe that, when you want to be studied in a species and organisms, so first you have to collect the organisms. We have to collect organisms, and the second means we have to identify which phylum which classification, either the plant kingdom or the animal kingdoms. The first two main living organisms are mainly the first header classification. It is the plant kingdom and animal kingdom. It is in the Latin words, it's a plantia, or the animal kingdom, plantia or animalia. Here I will explain that. First step in the taxonomy is the collection. Second one, identification. Identify the scientific names of organisms, because already our past scientists, they given all how to be classify these organisms, or how to classify these organisms. That is the branch in biology. It is known as the taxonomy. Who is the father of this taxonomy? Carolus Linnaeus is the Swedish naturalist. He is the father of the taxonomist, and he classifies. Swedish naturalists classified the organisms into kingdom Plantia and kingdom Animalia. The two kingdoms are the kingdom Plantia and the kingdom Animalia. The two kingdoms are there. Then it is followed by different scientists. They will classify the five kingdom classification: kingdom Monera, Protista, Fangia, Plantia and Animal. Five kingdom classification we will be studying in the coming classes. The coming videos I will be explaining about all the phylums, five kingdoms, and then it is followed by the different phylums also. Once again, you have should be taxonomy. The definition: taxonomy is the branch of biology that deals with collection, identification, nomenclature, description of plants and animals. So, third point, and I want to explain about the nomenclature. What do you mean by the nomenclature? What is the meaning of that? Nomenclature gives name to an organism. Nomenclature is nothing but it give name to an organism. Even we know that why we needed to give the names for me and you and our friends. Why we have the different names to identify. you have a particular name, a specific name. You are belongs to this family or to this house, and your father is this such as such a, your father is this and your mother is this. So you have a different, your mother and father, you have the belongs to this family. So likewise, see, in the plants and animals, they have a particular name which will be given. The name, for example, nomenclature, I told the giving name. There are two scientific names consist of two parts. First is the genus and second name is the species name. Genus and species name. Species. Let's explain in the coming classes. Description of Plantia and Animalia. Once you collected the specimen, identified the specimen, or given name to the specimen of the nomenclature, and second is the discussion of plants and animals. When you will be get an idea about that. When you type in Google, Coccus nucifera. What is the name of that? It's a scientific name of what? Coconut, Coccus nucifera, Mangifera indica, that is a mango tree. When you type this, you will get a detailed history of that. Who helped end of past. So he is the father who Carlos Linnaeus. Then followed by the later, a lot of scientists, they goes through this research or studies, and they got a better result. That is why at present we have well systemed classifications. So, according to the Carlos Linnaeus, he described the kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. Thanks.